And you used to say to me, Mummy, when I grow up, I'm going to be a builder and I'm going to build you a big house with a swimming pool. And Louis, I'm still waiting for the big house and the swimming pool.
Me too. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another little chit chat with me and my mum. And we're going to be speaking all about the verb to get, which of course is used in so many different ways. It can mean buy, receive, to become, and so many more meanings. So that is the plan for today. But before we get started or get the ball rolling, Mum, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm going a little bit spring-like. And yes, I'm well. Thank you for asking.
So spring seems to have arrived back home in England.
Mm-hmm. Yes, blue sky, sunshine, all good. We've even cut the grass and we had some friends round yesterday. We ate outside, so it'll probably rain tomorrow, but never mind. We'll make the most of it.
Absolutely. I think that is what usually happens around like March and April, that you have these April showers. So it'll be beautiful and sunny one minute, and then it'll start pouring down the next, and then it'll be cloudy. So you've got like 4 seasons in one day. The weather is all over the place. It's all over the shop. Cool. So just a little reminder before we get started and get the ball rolling that, as I did last time in my last little chit chat with my mum, I'm going to do a recap of some important, advanced, or colloquial words at the end. Hopefully, that way you can learn these new words off by heart. So, Mum, are you ready to get started?
Ready as I'll ever be. You know, I get a bit nervous, but let's go.
Let's go. You get nervous, you see. Get is all over the place. Um, so Mum, the first question, do you usually get hungry in the morning? Because I think you know that I don't. I usually do a little bit of like fasting almost, where I only have coffee in the morning and I don't actually have brunch or lunch until like midday. But yeah, do you get hungry in the morning?
Absolutely. Oh, you do it. I know you have a coffee and that puts you on. But with me, as soon as I'm up, it's like, what can I eat? I do have cereals, but they don't last. My husband, your dad, he has porridge, and that's supposed to last a long time, but it's a bit boring. It needs something with it. So if I don't eat, I get a headache. So I absolutely must eat almost straight away. Yeah.
You see, I remember that when I was back home a few weeks ago, I saw you in the morning having a bowl of porridge, and I had to like look at you twice because growing up, I never remember you having porridge ever, but Dad always had porridge every single day. So it's so repetitive having the same thing every day. And I was like, Mum, you're having porridge. What's going on?
I'm trying to be healthy and I have it with fruit just to make it more interesting. But and I like the full English. So if we go away, the full English is like the bacon, the sausage, the tomato, the mushrooms, sometimes hash browns. And that's just my treat when I go away. It's usually served with black pudding, which I'm not keen on, but apart from that, yes, full English or even scrambled eggs, just something to start me off. If I'm hungry, I'm I just don't function well.
Quite. And some people can combine these two adjectives of angry and hungry. And if you link them, combine them, and merge them, it creates hangry. So some people, myself included, if I don't eat for a long time, then I start to get a little bit hangry. Angry because I'm starving, because I need something to eat.
Mm.
And you used a nice phrasal verb as well, which is puts you on. So you need something in the morning just to put you on, which is kind of like to give you some food before a meal. So let's say that it's 5 o'clock and we're not going to have dinner until 8 o'clock. Then I need some fruit to put me on, to just keep me functioning and working without being absolutely starving and hangry. It puts you on. Perfect. Okay. In that case, the next question, which is, hmm, what do you do when you get home after a long day? Everybody knows that I work remotely, so I'm always at home. So this question maybe doesn't apply to me quite as much. But Mum, what about you? What do you do when you get home, arrive home after a long day?
Well, you can't beat a good bath. A soak in the bath. If I've time, obviously it depends. I mean, sometimes I might get home if I've been in the office when I was working. Perhaps your dad and I would walk along the canal, which is nearby, and that would be nice and relaxing. If I've looked after my little grandson and I get home, sometimes I just need a little bit of solitude, a bath, some bubble bath poured in, get my pajamas on, just chill. Yeah, but you can't beat having a bath, pajamas, and just relaxing. That
You
sounds
see,
really boring. I'm sorry.
no, no, no. It sounds really relaxing, really like soothing as well, because
Mm.
I don't even remember the last time I had a bath. I remember having a bath after playing football on Sunday mornings, being like a young child, because you'd get all muddy because you'd be sliding on the floor, you'd be tackling your opponent. So then I'd be covered, caked in mud. So then I'd get in the bath and I'd try to like rub it all off, and then you'd look at the bath water and it was like, like like something had happened there.
Just
But as an adult, I never have a bath. Never.
no. I mean, if I was going out, it's a shower because it's quick and I guess it's cleaner, like you say. When you were playing football, it was like mud almost when you got out, but and then you almost needed a shower afterwards. But yeah, a bath is just relaxing, but it has to have bubbles in.
Okay. That's the key point. It has to be a bubble bath.
Mhm.
Fantastic. All right. The third question then. How about we go with, hmm, do you get nervous before important events? Mum, do you get nervous before important events or important days?
I do get very nervous. I actually get nervous before a podcast. I have what we sort of the expression is that you get butterflies in your tummy. So it's just that little bit of ooh, or sometimes not it's but sometimes if there was like, if I needed, say, a doctor's appointment and I was a little bit nervous about that, my heart sort of races and sort of thumps in my chest. I can get a dry mouth. So I do get nervous. I'd love to say I didn't, but I think that must be my temperament. Some people can just go through life and sail through and be happy and confident. Whereas with me, if I'm out of my comfort zone, I do get nervous right now, but I'm getting more used to this. It's okay.
Exactly. Even if you used to get more nervous doing this, now you're getting used to it. You're getting used to doing this. And to be honest, I think practice makes perfect in many aspects of life. And the more you do something, the more you get used to doing it. So then the less nervous you become. I remember when I used to go in person to teach classes and I had my first class with a group, and I might be teaching like the CEO of a company. So, of course, I'd be shaking a little bit, I'd be a little bit sweaty. And it was, of course, exciting because it was an opportunity, but I was nervous at the same time. So I tried to break the ice by telling a joke or, having a little bit of a chit chat, getting to know each other. And then I think you start to calm down, you start to get used to it, and then you can start to perform well. And I think a little bit of nerves is a positive thing. It's actually good if you're slightly nervous because it shows that it's important to you. It shows that you care, really.
Yes, yes. And the adrenaline kicks in as well to sort of help you through it.
Absolutely. And if people are listening to this who listened to the podcast a couple of weeks ago, you might be now being reminded of this phrasal verb kick in. Because I remember saying on the podcast that my coffee was kicking in, which is a way of saying that it was starting to have an effect. And if your adrenaline is kicking in, the adrenaline is also starting to affect you. So, phrasal verb to kick in. Yeah, I think we are nervous people, maybe. Maybe I take after you in this because I don't think dad gets that nervous about anything.
Oh, no, he really doesn't. He's cool as a cucumber. He cares. He just doesn't have nerves. He's just very straightforward. It's just like it will be whatever be. It will just happen. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But he doesn't worry about it.
Great.
Maybe he'll nice.
As you said, he is cool as a cucumber. He's always very, very chilled. Maybe unlike us. Perfect. And if somebody is cool as a cucumber, they're a very calm person. They're a very chilled person. Now, unlike being chilled, what about getting angry? I mentioned being hangry earlier. Now, how about this question? When was the last time you got really angry? When you were furious, you were cross, you were raging, you were infuriated? Mum, I don't remember the last time I saw you angry. Do you remember the last time that you got angry?
I'm not really an angry person. I think I'm quite easygoing. I'm quite patient. I just, I'm not saying I don't get irritated. I mean, sometimes things can irritate me, but that's just a low level sort of really minor things. Like if your dad always leaves something around, and I'm thinking, why does he put the plate next to the washer and not in the dishwasher because it's next to each other. So things might irritate me a little bit, but I'm just not an angry person. I just think life's too short. Um, it's just not in my nature. The only thing I would say if I would get angry would be if, for example, I was walking along and I saw somebody say mistreating an animal, a dog or something. Then, yeah, then I would speak out because that would make me angry if there's, something happening like that. But in general, I'm a nervous person, but I'm not an angry person. I'm quite laid back in that respect. So, and yeah, I mean, you were always so good, that I never really get angry with either children. And I always have that feeling as well. But if you get really angry and start shouting, then you've kind of lost the argument already, so
Hmm.
you calm about things. But yeah, I'm just I'm just not an angry person. I don't think you're angry. I've never seen you like blatantly mad about anything. If
No,
anything, sometimes you can get angry with yourself. If you think you've done something wrong, you might sort of think, "Oh, I've done this or I've done that. But I've never known you angry with other people. So maybe we're both quite easygoing.
I think we are. I think both of us, of course, we mentioned that we might be nervous people at times, but we aren't very angry. We don't get very stroppy. We don't get very moody most of the time. I think we're quite laid back, quite easygoing, as you mentioned. And it's true that things will get on my nerves. A nice expression as well. Things will get on my nerves and like annoy me. So I'll be a bit frustrated. But then actually getting angry when you see some people screaming and shouting, or you see people who might get really angry and violent to the extent where they'll like punch a door or similar. Like, I don't get how this happens. I don't get how you can possibly get so angry that you're unable to control your emotions. And of course, there are times when I see people driving just in a pedestrianized area or somewhere where it's only 20 miles an hour, the speed limit, and you'll see them zooming along, going like 70 miles an hour, and they'll have the music banging on. And I'll look at them and be like, really? Really?
Yeah.
But That's it. It doesn't actually make me angry because it's kind of out of my control. And I think that's a nice stoic way of thinking and way of being that is like, if you can't do anything to change something, then there's no point letting your emotions get the
No,
better of you.
no. And it kind of, I do remember when I was working at school, and we had a particular parent always angry about something. And I just think you must just really fed up in life because,
Okay, everybody, we are back. For a second, we lost connection, but I think we can now get back on track. And that's a nice little excuse, a moment for me to teach this expression. And if you are on track, you're going in the right direction. And after we lost connection for a second, now we are here, we have come back, and we can get back on track. And I think we had pretty much finished discussing the last question about getting angry. And to sum up, we're not very angry people, which I think is a good thing. So, high five, Mum. Now, let's
virtually,
move on. A virtual high five. Now, let's move on to the next question, which is how do you usually get to know people? How do you get to know friends, etc.? Mum, how do you?
well, I started Spanish lessons again. I did them way back and then I've done other things in between, but then I felt as if I needed to actually sort of talk to somebody. And actually being retired, looking after a grandson, I wanted to use my brain a bit again as well, and get out there and meet other adults really. So it's nice when, we do it at a college and it's on a Wednesday evening and it's just a nice change. I mean, a lot of my friends, to be honest, I've had for years and years and years, but now I'm getting a new circle of younger friends. Because I take, yes, not, I would say acquaintances, maybe rather than friends, but I take my little grandson who's 2. We go to some toddler groups in the library, and they're obviously the younger generation of the mummies are with them, but there's quite a lot of grandmas as well. So I'm sort of getting to know people like that, and just we can just sort of chat, and it's casual friendship. But I think the people that I'm getting to know at the Spanish classes, we have quite a lot in common. Quite a few of them are retired, and some aren't, which is nice too, because we don't want to just be all the old fogies together. It's just yeah. So I don't know, but I mean, you've had your friends a long time, but then you've lived in different countries, so you will get to know people. I
Yeah,
might. Mm,
I've got to know so many people from different countries, from different cities, from different kind of periods of my life. I'd say more recently, because I don't have like coworkers, colleagues,
oh,
maybe I'm getting to know fewer people than I used to. But I think that's natural as you get older as well. Because
oh,
when you're at school, of course, you're surrounded by possible friends. When you go to uni, you have this freedom for the first time in your life. And you're also surrounded by possible friends. And I go out, but I usually go out with the same people. And to be honest, I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to getting to know new people. Of course, I get to know people all the time in class, for example. Like, I consider many of my students my friends as well. So I'm actually having chats with lots of people from around the world. So that way I get to know people. But in the real world, I usually just hang out with the same people. And that's my comfort zone, which is something we'll come on to a little bit later. And that's a good segue, a good link to the next question. So let me share my screen again. And this one's quite an interesting one because maybe you can offer some insights about me as well that maybe I don't even remember. The question is the following. What kind of job did you want to get as a child? What was your dream job growing up, basically? Mum, what was yours?
well, just really quickly, I will say that when you were talking about memories of you growing up, and there was a sort of a character called Bob the Builder,
Uh-huh.
uh, like can we fix it? Yes, he can. And there was the tune. And you used to say to me, Mummy, when I grow up, I'm going to be a builder and I'm going to build you a big house with a swimming pool. And Louis, I'm still waiting for the big house and the swimming pool.
Me too.
But no, I mean, going back to me, your sister, she always was drawing, and we sort of knew she became a graphic designer. We kind of knew she would go that way. I mean, you can touch about what you wanted to do because you used to change your mind. Even sixth form, you were different things, but I never really knew what I wanted to do. We had a careers advisor, and she said, "Oh, you'd be a really good teacher." And I kind of thought about it, but although I love children, absolutely love children, I just wanted to work with adults. I just didn't see myself just surrounded by little ones all day. So, I mean, the best thing then was obviously when you were old enough and I went back to work, I worked in a school. So I worked in the office. So I did all like the grown up adult things. But then there was some really, really sweet children there as well. So it was the best of both worlds. But yeah, I never really knew. I do remember once in infant school, that's when you're about sort of 5 or 6, and we had some like flashcards, and the teacher said to us, "Oh, these are jobs." So there would be like a teacher or an engineer or a builder and things, and it was just like pick one and write about it. So I was quite shy. So I got the card which was left, which everybody else took their pick, and it was a bus conductor. And I had not been a bus conductor, which is basically somebody, I don't think they even have them now. There was the driver, and then there was somebody who'd come around like, tickets, please. And I remember thinking, that must be so boring because in the same little box, going backwards and forwards all day long. So I had to try and make that interesting. But no, I never wanted to be a bus conductor. But what about you, Lewis? Because it did change over the years, didn't it?
I mean, I wish I had become a builder to be able to build you a nice house with a swimming pool and build myself one as well. That would be the dream for sure. But I've never been that good at DIY or anything with my hands, really. I'm a bit I'm a bit useless when it comes to that kind of stuff. I can't fix anything. I can't set up furniture. I can't change a light bulb. So I definitely couldn't be a builder, plumber, electrician, joiner, or any of these very practical jobs and trades. But I remember I used to think about becoming a police officer, maybe a firefighter. Then as I got older, I thought about being a teacher and working in sport as well, maybe being a PE teacher or being a physiotherapist, which is what I almost did when I was in sixth form, when I was 17, 18 years old. And the reason why I chose languages was precisely because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And that way it was going to open up many possibilities and many doors. And in the end, as life turned out, I've ended up being an English teacher for foreign people around the world. And I'm really happy how things have turned out. But when I was growing up, I never really knew what I wanted to do. And I think this is quite common. Like,
Mm.
I wish I had known because then I would have been able to really focus myself to become the best version of myself when I was young. But it doesn't always happen. So I'm happy with how things turned out, put it that way. All right. Now, the next question is about getting ready, getting prepared. And I'll answer this one first because I'll be quite quick at answering it because I'm very quick at doing it. So the question is, how long does it take you to get ready for a trip? And honestly, I think I can get ready for a trip in like half an hour. Uh, at least if we're speaking only about like packing and sorting out everything you want to take with you, I go to my bedroom, I'll open my chest of drawers or my wardrobe, I'll grab a number of boxers, socks, shorts, trousers, t-shirts, shirts, and then I'll squeeze them into my backpack, make sure I've got my wallet and my phone, of course, and my passport, and then I'm ready to go. I've got ready in 30 minutes. But, Mum, you're not the same, are you?
No, no, I'm too indecisive. But I mean, we actually call you backpack man because I'm out that when you do come home here, we have a lot of clothes already in the wardrobe, and it just makes it easy because you can literally you just walk through the airport with a backpack, your laptop, like you say, your phone and things. But I'm indecisive. I mean, I think you take after your dad because he says how many nights are we away, so he counts the pairs of t-shirts, uh, socks, t-shirts, the underpants, all these things, and he just takes like one for each day. Well, I like I like to be able to mix it up a bit. I don't know, I want some going out shoes, some trainers for walking around. I usually like, if we go out for a meal, I like to have a shower and get ready again. If we're going somewhere hot, it's easy. I'm much quicker because I can just put lots of summer things in. If we go to a place called Filey, which is, I've gone there my whole life. It's on the coast. It's really nice, but literally you pack waterproofs, you pack swimming costumes, you pack, just all the opposite. Yeah, like a cagoule almost, an umbrella, but then shorts and t-shirts because you have to prepare for all kinds of weather. So it depends where I'm going, and also I'm just indecisive. I just like lots of options. With
You
we're
can't make your mind up.
optional.
And as you said, we are opposites in this for sure. I've taken after you in terms of being nervous, maybe, and not getting angry very easily. But I've taken after my dad for sure in being very minimalist when it comes to packing and getting ready as quickly as possible. Now, how about the next question? We've got a few more before we wrap it up and finish off. And the next one is, how can people get more confident when speaking? Mum, you've mentioned before that you've restarted your Spanish classes. You get a little bit nervous when you're speaking in Spanish. So, in your opinion, how can people get more confident when speaking?
I think you just have to put yourself out there. So when I started the Spanish class, obviously we're all of a similar level, which is not great on the accent. So we're all in the same boat. So you basically, the teacher who's really nice, but you can't relax, which is a good thing. You can't be complacent and think, oh, somebody else will say that. They'll answer that because she'll say, we go around and then she'll suddenly sort of pick out, Julie, what do you think? So you've always to just remember that, as I say, we're all the same. We're all learning, and just go for it. And do you know what? Laugh at yourself because if you don't laugh at yourself, someone else will. So it's better to be in with the joke than be like the butt of the joke. And actually, my accent is not that bad. Some of the others can pronounce what really, really well, and then some of the others can't, and I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. And if I get it wrong, it doesn't matter because, like I say, we're just all there to learn. And if you don't do it and you don't try and sort of speak it, then you won't learn. You'll just be quiet, and so yeah, you just have to make yourself. You might not feel confident, but you just have to think, what's the worst that can happen? I get it wrong. And if you do, then just admit it and just like, "Oh, dear."
No,
But
I agree 100%. I think I couldn't have said it better myself because you're all in the same boat, you're all in the same situation. And it can be more memorable if you do make a mistake and you laugh about it and everybody laughs about it at the same time. And then you can have fun, you create a memory, and then hopefully you will learn from this little mistake so you won't make the same mistake again. So I think the key message is just to think, what's the worst that could happen? If I make a mistake, people laugh, I might laugh as well. We all have fun. Laughing's a good thing. The more we laugh, the better, right? And this actually links well with our next question as well, our penultimate question, which is about getting out or going out of your comfort zone. So, honestly, I don't find it very easy to get out of my comfort zone. I think I can do it when push comes to shove. When push comes to shove, meaning like when I have no other option, then I can do it and I can go out of my comfort zone. But I'm just thinking about things that I'm afraid of, that I think we are both afraid of, which is that both of us have a little bit of vertigo. Maybe one of us more than the other, perhaps. But I was looking at an image of a city in Belgium that maybe I'm going to visit at some point, and they've got a cable car. And I remember the last time I went to a city with a cable car, I chose to walk up like 500 steps instead of getting the cable car because I get a little bit of vertigo. I'll get a little bit nervous. And this is 100% out of my comfort zone. And if I don't need to face this situation, I won't. I'll dodge it and I'll do something else. Of course, when it is experiencing new things that don't involve a phobia or a fear, sometimes it is good to push yourself and go out of your comfort zone. And that way you can learn new things, experience new things. Maybe when it is about going to parties and getting to know new people. This isn't really in my comfort zone, but it's nice to do. And I think usually you feel better after you've done it. You don't regret getting out of your comfort zone. But yeah, Mum, I guess you're on the same lines, more or less.
And like you say, I have a sort of a vertigo type thing as well. I can remember one time being in Seville, in Spain, and there's a beautiful cathedral. And it was like, oh, shall we go to the top of the tower? And I'm thinking, I really want to do that. And I didn't want to because I didn't want to be up there, but I also wanted to have the experience. So I did go up to the top, and it was just so worth it because you could see the beautiful views. But then there was also the tall building over the river. I can't remember what it's called, and you could get the lift. Now I'm really out of my comfort zone if I go in a lift, an enclosed lift, and it was goodness knows how many meters or how many floors high. And yeah, I ducked out of that one. I just didn't want to. But things like I also find that we do the airport runs. So obviously when you come back and when with your fiance or just on your own, and if it's dark, then Dad will maybe go to the airport if it's very late. And if it's light, I'll sort of say, "Oh yeah, I'll take you." And really, I hate motorways, but I think if I don't do it, I will stop driving on motorways, and then you've sort of narrowed your life down, so you have to go out of your comfort zone because it's just too easy to sort of say, I'm not doing that. And then where would we all be if we all said that? No, it's difficult, but you should do it always, always.
Exactly. If
Unless
we
it's
can,
really, really dangerous. If somebody said to me, we're going potholing, which is in the underground caves, that would just be a flat out no. There would be no discussion. That is beyond out of my comfort zone. That's just no.
I mean, I agree. There are other
Mhm.
things like bungee jumping or skydiving that it is completely out of my comfort zone, and I have no need to try these things. I'm absolutely fine keeping my feet on the ground, whereas there are other things where I think like, okay, I can get in a cable car, like I can probably face this fear even if I get a little bit nervous. But yeah, I think you feel like you've achieved something, that you've accomplished something when you do successfully manage to go out of your comfort zone because it gives yourself this little, I don't know, energy boost, a little bit of adrenaline. As we discussed earlier, the adrenaline kicks in. And once it's over and done with, then you can think to yourself, okay, good job. I was brave. I didn't chicken out. I didn't duck out of it. Perfect. All right, let's finish with the final question. And it is a lovely one, a lovely second conditional hypothetical scenario. And it is, what would you do if you suddenly got rich? And I know the adjective rich is a little bit subjective. So you could be rich if you've just got a well paid job, but you've still got a mortgage, etc., etc. But I'm speaking like mega rich. If you won the lottery, millions and millions. So if you got mega rich, absolutely loaded, Mum, what would you do with the money?
Well, if I was mega rich, and also I'd have to start buying a lottery ticket first, but if I a winning ticket and it was so much that I could do anything, then obviously the first thing is you always help out your family. So you would be fine. I would see that you had yeah.
Thank you.
Some favorite daughter makes it really easy. So you would both have enough money to buy somewhere lovely, a place of your own. And just it would just be so satisfying to help other people. But then also for me, I would like a place in Spain for the weather. I'd like somewhere at Filey because of the sentimental value, because I went there my whole childhood. So it's all the memories of my parents who are sadly not here now. So that's important to me. And also, this is really bizarre, but if I had enough money, I would have an animal sanctuary.
Okay.
Like because I already sort of do like a subscription, a donation for something called Dogs Trust, which is we had a dog, we don't want a dog anymore. It's too tying. Which means you can't just sort of say right, let's go away for the weekend. So I sponsor a dog, and then I think people must know I'm an animal lover. So then I get raffle tickets for a donkey sanctuary as well. So I buy raffle tickets. I never win, but yeah, I think I would do something to rescue animals. Mm.
I mean,
How about you?
it sounds like a good initiative. And I think if people who were super wealthy invested more in helping other people, then the world would for sure be a better place. So I like it. A good idea. In my case, I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to buy a house without having to worry about a mortgage as well. That'd be ideal. I'd love to go on a trip around the world whilst I'm still young as well. So maybe take a year off teaching and travel around the world, go to all the continents and as many countries as possible. I think top of my list would be first to go traveling and to travel well, of course. I'd be traveling and staying in amazing places. I'd be going out to the best restaurants. I'd be doing incredible experiences, ones that are not scary, of course. And then after that, I think it's just having the peace of mind of not having to worry about money. And then if you want to work, you can work perfect, but you wouldn't be doing it for the cash because you'd be able to open your online banking and just see all of these digits. And that feeling must be amazing when you
Yeah.
open your bank account and like, oh, okay. Yeah, is that 9 figures? Perfect. And then you can splash the cash however you want, helping your friends, family, organizing different things. It must feel so good.
Dream on.
We will dream on for sure. Good. Now that completes our 10 questions, all using get. And as I mentioned, get is a very, very versatile verb. And in our next little chit chat, we'll go over some more get idioms. But first, as promised, a little bit of a recap. So I'm going to go over some of the advanced words and phrases that have come up in this podcast. First of all, get the ball rolling is a way of saying to get started, to begin. I mentioned something is all over the shop, it's all over the place, meaning it's a bit chaotic and it's disorganized, or it's unpredictable. The weather is all over the shop. We also looked at the phrasal verb to put you on. So I'm getting a little bit hungry, but I'm not going to have tea until 7 o'clock. So I'm going to have a banana to put me on. Also, you mentioned having butterflies in your tummy. Tummy is the same as stomach. And this is a way of saying that, you're nervous or excited, or maybe you're a little bit smitten. You're falling in love with someone, so you've got butterflies in your stomach. Also, you mentioned your heart races. When you get nervous, your heart races. When it is thumping, it's beating very, very quickly. I also mentioned the phrasal verb to kick in. The coffee kicks in, adrenaline kicks in. After that, we spoke about how my dad is cool as a cucumber. He's a very chilled person, a relaxed person. Following that, we agreed that we are quite laid back. We're quite relaxed people and we don't get angry very easily. But some things do get on our nerves. And if something gets on your nerves, it makes you a little bit frustrated, a little bit annoyed. And if this happens, sometimes your emotions can get the better of you. If your emotions get the better of you, it means that you can't quite control them and you lose your temper, for example. Then we had a little bit of a connection issue, but we quickly got back on track. We returned to the right path. And I think you mentioned that your job working in the office at school was the best of both worlds because you were working with children, but not quite as a teenager. A teenager now, not quite as a teacher, sorry. And after that, I of course, mentioned that I take after my mum and dad, which means that I maybe look like them or I behave like them, that I have inherited some of their traits. If you're in a language class, you're all in the same boat, in the same situation. And finally, one mentioned being the butt of the joke. If you are the butt of the joke, you are the target of the joke. And if you do make a mistake when speaking English, the important thing and our big tip is, laugh it off. Because if you're the butt of the joke, the best thing you can do is, laugh about it. And that way, it'll be more memorable and you'll have fun and everyone will laugh along with you, right?
Absolutely.
So, on that note, thank you so much, Mum, for joining me for another chit chat. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And yeah, we'll see you again in another couple of weeks.
You're welcome, my love. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.